Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Yang dihormati pengurus besar pemenangan projek, ketua-ketua bahagian, pegawai-pegawai, sekuriti-sekuriti projek dan para hadirin sekalian. Alhamdulillah, syukur kehadrat ilahi kerana kita dapat bersama-sama menghadirkan diri ke kursus Continuous Technical Education CTE bertajuk Green Building Index GBI. Sebelum memulakan majlis, elok-elok kita memulakan dengan bacaan doa yang diketuai oleh Encik Muhammad Nur Hisin. Majlis mempersilakan.
Kita mulakan majlis pagi ini dengan umur kita Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Allah, Engkaulah yang mempunyai segala kepujian. Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kepujian. Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kesyukuran. Di tangan Engkau segala kebajikan. Kepada Engkaulah segala urusan. Cucurilah rahmat dan rahim-Mu ke atas majlis yang diadakan hari ini. Berkatilah ia dari awal hingga akhirnya. Kami juga memohon perlindungan dari-Mu dari segala perkara yang boleh mencacat celakan majlis kami dan daripada segala perkara yang melelahkan dari kami berbuat taat kepadamu. Kepadamu juga kami serahkan segala urusan kami. Amin, amin, ya rabbal alamin.
Amin, amin, ya rabbal alamin. Dengan itu, tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, majlis mempersilakan IR Dr. Leong Wei Dong, General Manager dari syarikat GBI Innovation sedang berhad untuk menyampaikan kursus beliau. Majlis mempersilakan.
Terima kasih. Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi. Saya Dr. Leong daripada GBI Innovation Center Berhad. Jadi, so today bersama dengan tim saya, Miss Emily dengan Miss Kasturi, kita akan mengadakan briefing untuk berkenaan dengan green building. So before I start, okay, I nak buat sikit introduction, okay, kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan tentang GBI, apa kita buat, apa services yang kita bagi. Jadi GBI Innovation Student Berhad is established in year 2012. Okay, we are a one-stop integrated consultancy company. Jadi kita bagi consultation kepada green building dengan energy management. Okay, saya ada mouse. Okay. Sorry ya, sekejap. Okay, so dari segi green building, sorry ya, ada sedikit teknikal punya. Okay, dari segi green building, okay, ini adalah certification dan consultancy service yang kita boleh provide, okay, seperti GBI, Green RE, LEED, dengan dekat sana untuk Green Mark. Okay, so under green building consultancy, these are the list and type of building that we have experience dealing with. Okay, seperti high-rise resident, affordable housing, hotel, service apartment, shopping mall, data center, school, township, existing building dengan commercial building. Okay, selain daripada tu, additional service seperti energy and daylight modeling, CFD simulation, lighting simulation, in terms of renewable energy PV design, okay, air quality measurement, sebagai as part of green building punya requirement tu, kita pun boleh buat. Okay. Seterusnya, untuk energy management. Jadi ni saya bagi sikit brief untuk brief introduction lah. So, GBI Innovation kita adalah ESCO company, okay, untuk yang kita boleh buat ESCO services, okay, EPC, energy performance contract, energy audit, measurement and verification, and also system or equipment audit. Okay, solution yang kita bagi seperti renewable energy, cogeneration, heat recovery, and also waste to energy solution. Okay, so ini adalah kita punya certification lah. Kita pun adalah diiktiraf sebagai energy management system punya auditor. Okay. Next, these are some project reference that we have performed before. Okay, so untuk GBI punya certification, okay, Molek Pine 4 di Johor Bahru, this is a platinum rated building. Okay, it's actually done by us. Okay, and other gold certification, and I think for Rumah Selangor Ku, the first GBI certified affordable home. Okay, dan sebagainya. Ini pun adalah reference untuk GBI, untuk Hong Leong Bank at South Key, okay, Menara YTL, Kosang Corporate Tower. And these are some reference untuk Green RE punya project. Jadi untuk GBI, Green RE sebagainya kita pun boleh buat, especially on green building. Okay. Ni adalah energy management punya project lah bersama dengan energy audit jugalah. Jadi kita adalah energy manager untuk DBKL, Farm Niaga dan sebagainya. Google Office Menara Etika, okay, Kagil, Deklang, Berjaya Times Square. Okay. So next I would like to go into a brief introduction of what green building is all about. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to cover 5 parts. Okay, introduction to green building, and also introduction to specifically on GBI. Okay, untuk residential new construction. Okay, lepas tu kita akan tengok dalam part, will be divided into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 untuk energy efficiency and indoor environmental quality. And part 2 for sustainable site planning and management, water efficiency, material and resources, and also the innovation points lah. Yang paling last sekali kita akan tengok kepada green incentive. Okay. So without further ado, so what is green building actually? Okay, actually green building refers to a practice, okay, of creating structure and processes that are environmental friendly and resource efficient throughout the entire building punya life cycle. Okay, dia start daripada site selection, okay, to design, construction, operation, maintenance, renovation, and even demolition. Okay, sorry, it emphasizes on, okay, the sustainable practices in the area such as material selection to avoid non-toxic material, okay, and also to protect the surrounding environment. We reduce the pollution and waste reduction. We increase the energy efficiency of the building, and also we embedded in the elements of renewable energy. And lastly, of course, the good indoor air quality for us who are working inside the building. So, what are the benefits for a building that is yang ada certified as a green building? Okay, yang seperti tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh tengok dalam screen, carbon emission kita boleh reduce by 35%, water usage, okay, kegunaan air reduced by 40%, energy consumption reduced by 50%, and solid waste there's a potential of reducing down to 70%. Of course, this will be a joint effort during design stage until construction, until the entire handover of the building. Okay, so for the business benefit, of course, when we look at green building, there will be probably we're looking at a higher investment capacity. The upfront cost will be higher, but ultimately, if you look at the long term, okay, dengan design yang bagus, material selection yang bagus, operation costs will be lower at the back for long run. So as overall, you can still see that the building will actually require less cost to operate. Okay, so next, these are some of the green building rating tools that we have, like LEEDs, BREEAM, Green Mark, Winship, GBI, RE, and MyCrest. So jadi kita pun boleh select lah, ni salah satu certification rating tools yang kita boleh go for green building certification. Okay, jadi seterusnya saya akan pass over the presentation to my colleague, Miss Emily, to continue to introduce to the Green Building Index. Okay, thank you.
Okay, morning everyone. I'm Emily Wong, and today we'll be focusing on Green Building Index. Okay, so firstly, what is Green Building Index? It is Malaysia's industry-recognized green rating tool for buildings, and it was developed by Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia, or PAM, and also ACEM, or the Association for Consulting Engineers Malaysia. So this Green Building Index was developed specifically for Malaysia's tropical weather, environmental context, and cultural and social needs. So, yeah, this rating tool was developed by volunteers who are made up of local practicing professionals comprising of architects, engineers, institutes, academics, and relevant stakeholders conforming to the local industry building bylaws as well as regulations. So as you can see here, GBI has many rating tools. They have a total of 18, but today we'll be focusing on Residential New Construction, RNC, version 3. So in terms of the GBI assessment process, it will be divided into 3 stages. So for stage 1, it will be the application and registration. So during this time, GBI will require you to provide information and documents such as project brief and project info, also the land grant, the owner's information and project contact details, as well as the application form. Then after GBI has processed this application, they will hand over a agreement or contract document, as well as invoice for registration fee. So this registration fee would depend on the GFA or size of your project. Then we move on to stage 2, which is the design assessment. So this design assessment, we as the GBI facilitator will furnish GBI with all related documents, reports, and calculations based on the scoring. And this will normally take about 2 months to compile. So after we have compiled, then we will submit this to GBI for their assessment. And usually this will take an estimated of 2 months to 3 months. And it also may require a series of submissions to GBI. So after GBI has approved all the documentation, then there will be a provisional certificate issued to us, and it is valid for 3 years. Then for the final stage, stage 3, is the Certification and Verification Assessment, or CVA, and this is to be done within 12 months after the completion of the building, or CCC, or after 50% occupancy, whichever comes earlier. So during this stage, we need to supply GBI with at least 3 months to 6 months utility bills, as well as builds, purchasing orders, and delivery orders to show proof that all the items that we scored are in place. Then after that, GBI will call for a site verification, and then if everything is approved, they will give us a CVA certificate or final certification. And this certificate is also valid for 3 years. So After the 3 years, then a renewal fee and process will apply. So this is a sample of the DA certificate and CVA certificate. So as mentioned previously, the GBI registration fee would depend on the size of your building or GFA, as well as the type of building, so whether it's a new construction or existing building. So this fee here will include one design assessment, as well as one completion and verification assessment. So now in terms of GBI classification, the lowest level of certification will be the certified level, which is 50 to 65 points. Then for silver, it is 60 to 75 points. For gold would be 76 to 85 points, and for platinum is 86 points and above. So usually when we submit to GBI, we will have at least 5 points buffer to give us a more allowance. So as we are focusing on GBI RNC tool or residential new construction tool today, this is the breakdown of each of the 6 main criteria. So the 6 main criteria for GBI RNC would firstly be energy efficiency, then the indoor environmental quality. Thirdly would be the sustainable planning and management. Then fourth would be materials and resources. Fifth one would be water efficiency, and the last one would be innovation. So we would also like to emphasize that in GBI RNC, as well as other GBI tools, it is a mandatory requirement to have your overall thermal transfer value of the building, or OTTV, to be more or less than 50 watt per meter square. And your lightweight roof U value must be less or equals to 0.4 watt per meter square Kelvin. And if you have heavyweight roof, then the requirement would be a U value of 0.6 watt per meter square Kelvin. So these are an example of certified buildings by GBI. Like one of them would be the Pkns building here, is platinum rated. Then other platinum rated buildings are like the ST Diamond building, as well as the Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia building, or PAM building. So a few statistics for you here, where we have currently 300 million square feet of sustainable buildings across Malaysia. And this encompasses 671 projects throughout the total 18 GBI rating tools. So from this, we have 343 new residential buildings and 233 new residential buildings, as well as a small number of existing buildings. So this has led to an estimated annual decrease of 1,749,000 tons of CO2. So all these details have been taken from 2023, so they have yet to be updated. So now we'll move on to the first part of GBI RNC, which is energy efficiency, EE, or indoor air, and also indoor air environmental quality, or EQ. So for energy efficiency, we have six scoring points here, where the first one is the mandatory compliance or minimum EE performance. Then we have EE2 advanced EE performance, EE3 renewable energy, then EE4 external lighting and control, and EE5 internet connectivity. And the last one would be EE6 sustainable maintenance and building user manual. So for this first part, energy efficiency, you can score a total of 23 points maximum. So to ensure your building is energy efficient, we'll need to look into these 3 main factors. So the first one would be passive design of the building envelope. And then the next one will be energy performance of the active equipment, or lighting and air conditioning. Then the third one will be renewable energy production, or solar PV. So when we talk about passive design of the building, we are looking at the architectural design of the building that indirectly affects the energy consumption. So this would mean we are looking at the building envelope. So what is the building envelope? It is the exterior part of the building that separates the interior from the outside environment. So components of the building envelope include walls, windows, roof and doors, and etc. So these components will work together to shade, to insulate, to ventilate, and to dilate buildings. So these strategies are also stated in MS 1525, the Malaysian Code for Practice on Energy Efficiency and the Use of Renewable Energy. So for the first 2 credits would be minimum EE performance at advanced EE performance. So firstly, it would be looking at the overall thermal transfer value, or OTTV. So OTTV is a measure of how the building's passive design would be able to reduce heat gain through the building envelope. And this would result in a lower cooling load in the air conditioning system, and consequently lower the energy consumption of the building and also operation carbon emissions. So how we calculate OTTV would be quite a big formula, as you can see here, but it can be broken down into 3 main sections. So the first one would be heat conduction through walls. Second would be heat conduction through windows, and the last part would be solar heat gain through windows. So as you can see here, the solar heat gain through windows take up a large percentage of the OTTV, which is 70 to 85%. So we must also consider this very well. So for the first part of the formula, we can see here that the alpha value in the formula is referring to the color of walls. Then we also have WWR, or the window to wall ratio. And for UW would be the U value of wall. So U value here, we mean the thermal transmittance of the wall. So as for this first part, we will look into the wall materials itself. So for the wall material, the U value itself is a very important value, and it's a measure of the material's ability to allow transfer of heat into the building. So the lower the U value of your wall, it would mean that it will allow less heat to transfer inside into the building interior. So from the photo on the left, it will show that higher U value means poor insulation, and lower U value means good insulation. And as for the diagram on the right, it is in reference to roofs, but it can also be applied to walls. So if you have a dark colored wall, like black or dark gray paint, then it would absorb more solar energy inside. But if you have a wall that is white color or beige color, then it would be able to reflect the solar energy away. So the next part of the formula would be the window to wall ratio, or WWR. So the WWR here we mean is the area of windows divided by the area of walls. So it is important to manage the WWR because of the solar heat gain of the building, as mentioned previously, then also the insulation effect through the windows, and also the amount of daylight penetrating into the interior spaces, as well as the corresponding amount of artificial light required to illuminate the room. And the last part would be how much shading devices need to be provided. So the next one would be how we calculate the window to wall ratio. So we have a simple example here, where if we have a wall with 5 meter length and 4 meter height, and a window of 2 meter length and 2 meter height, our WWR can be calculated as 0.2 here. Then the second part of the formula would be heat conduction through windows. So from here, we also need to include the WWR, as well as the U value of windows, which is again the thermal transmittance. So the window material performance here is determined by, firstly, the layers of glazing, as well as the color. So in this case, we mean that the laminated glass or double glazed glass can have a lower U value compared to a single layer glass. So as for the color of the window, if you have a darker color, such as dark green or dark gray, then it will be able to filter out more heat than a clear glass or light green colored glass. So in general, for compliance to the OTTV value of less than 50 watt per meter square, your thermal transmittance or U value should be less than 5.7 watt per meter square Kelvin, and your shading coefficient, SC value, should be less than 0.7. So the last part of the formula would be the solar heat gain through windows, whereby we consider the orientation factor or OF, and once again the window to wall ratio, and the last part would be shading coefficient. So the orientation and orientation of the building is very important here because of the east and west versus north and south exposure. So we advise to try to have lesser windows at the east and west directions, as Malaysia's tropical climate would cause intense sunlight in these directions, especially during the morning and afternoons. So we try to maximize the north and south orientation, therefore minimizing the solar heat gain into your building. And correspondingly, the building orientation will also affect how much natural ventilation and passive cooling that you are able to supply to your building. So the next part would be the SC value or shading coefficient. So actually we have two coefficients that we will need to consider here. So the first one would be SC1, which is the characteristic of the window. So a lower SC1 here would mean that a less amount of heat is transmitted into the building. But on the other hand, it will also mean that there's a less amount of light also transmitted into your building. So therefore, you also need to consider the VLT or visible light transmission value of the glass in order to make sure there's a right balance between how much heat gain you reduce and also how much good daylighting that you bring into the building. Then the other shading coefficient or SC2, it is affected by how much external shading devices that you provide. So this would mean horizontal or vertical shading devices, as well as recessed windows. So these will also need to be taken into account to your OTTV. Then the second compliance value would be the roof U value. So as mentioned previously, your lightweight roof U value must be less than 0.4. and your heavyweight roof U value must be less than 0.6. So lightweight U roof is defined as non-concrete roofs and have a density of less than 50 kilogram per meter square. And if you have heavyweight roof, it is referring to concrete roof with a density of more than 50 kilogram per meter square. So this is in general how we would calculate the roof U value, where we take all the layers of the roof, and you need to, in order to comply with the mandatory conditions previously, you will need to include roof insulation into your roof. So normally it is divided into two types, which is the bulk and mass insulation, and also reflective insulation and radiant barrier. So in general, for lightweight roof, we would use mineral wool and glass wool. And for heavyweight roof, we would use spray foam or extruded polystyrene and expanded polystyrene. So for the next part is EE3 renewable energy. So there are many types of renewable energy that can be used, but in this case, we are referring to solar energy. So this can be supplied using solar photovoltaic, solar hot water, and solar air conditioning. So solar PV here is highly recommended to be used to generate renewable electricity in residential buildings. And for this criteria, we will need to supply the following to GBI for their evaluation, such as the scale as built building plans and elevations, manufacturer issued specifications on the renewable energy equipment, as well as the proof of percentage of renewable energy compared to the total building energy consumption or TNB bills for a minimum of 3 months to 6 months. So the next part of EE would be EE4, which is external lighting and control. So the first first point that you can score would be high efficiency external lighting that must be provided to common areas such as the lift lobby, the staircase, the car park and gardens. And your lamp efficacy here must be more than 80 lumens per watt. So a high efficacy of the lamp means that your lamp is more energy efficient. So the second point to score here would be if you provide photo sensors and motion sensors. Photo sensors with motion detectors controlled lighting in conjunction with day lighting strategy for all common areas. So the next criteria would be EE5, internet connectivity. So we must make sure to provide infrastructure for internet connectivity to meet the speed capacity provided by the service provider. So this is an example of the type of infrastructure provided in residential buildings. Then the last part of EE would be EE6, or Sustainable Maintenance and Building User Manual. So it is important to have a designated building maintenance office with enough space to keep all the maintenance equipment and tools as well as spare. And you must have at least 50% of the permanent building maintenance team on board 3 months before practical completion. Then you must also make sure that the main contractor has provided a full set of hard and soft copy of all the building and system drawings, as well as the maintenance plan to this building maintenance team. And also to make sure to provide evidence of at least 3-year facility maintenance and preventive maintenance budget. Then the last part would be the Building User Manual, or BUM, that's provided by the GBI facilitator for user information and also for the building maintenance team to guide them to sustain performance during occupancy. So the second criteria for GBI RNC would be Indoor Environmental Quality, or EQ. So this we have 7 total scoring points here, which is firstly EQ1, Minimum Indoor Air Quality Performance. And then we have EQ2, VOC minimization. EQ3, formaldehyde minimization. Then we have EQ4, daylighting. EQ5, external views. EQ6, sound insulation. And the last one would be EQ7, post-occupancy evaluation. So the characteristics of a green building under IEQ would be firstly the indoor air quality and ventilation, then the natural daylighting, the thermal comfort of building occupants, as well as the low VOC material and no formaldehyde materials. So the first part of EQ is EQ1, minimum indoor air quality performance, where we must make sure to provide adequate openings for all habitable rooms as required by the following local building codes, such as ASHRAE Standard 62.1, where it specifies the minimum ventilation rates and IAQ acceptable to human occupants in a building. And also the MS 1525 2019 and the Uniform Building Bylaws UBBL 1984. So we can achieve this by providing outdoor air ventilation or fresh air intakes. So fresh air, in this case, can be brought in via windows through natural ventilation. So there are 3 types here, where we have cross ventilation, then we also have step ventilation and single-sided ventilation. So the next criteria for EQ would be EQ2 VOC minimization, where if we must make sure to use low VOC paints, low VOC products for paint and coating for walls and ceilings, then also for carpet flooring and adhesive and sealant. So we require test reports to confirm the VOC content, as well as the green certs, such as for Malaysia, the SERI Eco Label or My Hijau. Then from Singapore, we have Singapore Green Label and Singapore Green Building Product, or SGBC. Then also for carpets, we have CRI Green Label and also Green Guard. These two are global standards. Then for EQ3, which is formaldehyde minimization, so we must use products with no formaldehyde, and this is applicable to composite wood and agri-fiber products, such as MDF board and plywood and particle boards. And also for laminating adhesives used to fabricate on-site and shop-applied composite wood and agri-fiber assemblies. Also for insulation foam and draperies. So once again, we will require test reports from all these products to confirm that there's no formaldehyde found. Then the next one would be for daylighting. So we must make sure that all habitable rooms as defined under UBBL must have a daylight factor of minimum 0.5%. So the daylight factor here is calculated using the internal lux level divided by the external lux level. So the lux level here is a measure of the amount of light level intensity. So normally during site verification, we will take a lux meter to measure on site. And if it's during our design assessment, then we'll use Dilux simulation to simulate this. And it will have, we must make sure to use overcast sky conditions during your simulation. Then for EQ5 external views, so all habitable rooms here must have a direct line of sight to outdoor environment through windows. So you must make sure the external views here are achieved between 0.8 meter to 2.2 meter from the floor finish level. And it is also important to emphasize that external views should not face any nearby neighboring buildings, but should instead be open to a clear, unobstructed view. Then for EQ6 sound insulation, we must ensure that the sound penetrations between dwellings are controlled by making sure that the sound transmission class or STC value between dwelling units are more than 45. So the STC value here is an integer rating of how well the building partition attenuates airborne sound. So in general, if you have a 150 mm thick brick wall with cement render on both sides and a density of 245 kilogram per meter square, then you have a STC value of 45. And the last part of EQ would be EQ7, which is a post-occupancy comfort survey. So we will normally conduct this survey with building occupants within 12 months after the issuance of the CCC. And it is regarding air quality, thermal comfort, daylighting comfort, visual comfort, and acoustic comfort. So if your survey results show that more than 20% of the occupants are dissatisfied with the comfort of the building, then we must make sure a corrective action plan must be developed and implemented in order to address and resolve these issues. Okay, thank you. So that will be all for our first part. Now we'll be open to any Q&A. If anyone has any questions to ask. If not, then we can go for a 15-minute toilet break. Okay? Okay, then I think we proceed for 15-minute toilet break first. Okay, thank you. We'll return for the second part.
Hello. Yeah. So I think so we will proceed with the next section. So I'm Kasturi. So I will be covering the part 2. In this part 2, we will be covering sustainable site planning and management, material and resources, water efficiency and innovation category. The first category of this part is sustainable site planning and management. In this category, this category mainly focus on site planning, construction management, and also transportation aspects. So there are 14 credits in total, with total of 33 points to score from. Compared to other category, you can see the weightage, scoring weightage is in this category is higher. This is to ensure comfort living of occupant with the surrounding environment. I will be going credit by credit, explaining the key factor of each credit and aspect to consider for scoring the point. So the first credit of the category is site selection. So this credit emphasizes on appropriate site type for the development. So there are the list of site to be avoided during site selection, which are prime agriculture land, land within 30 meters of any wetland, flood hazarded area, habitat for endangered species, public parkland, and class 4 land. So these are the land type to be avoided during the site selection. And the proposed development should comply to structural plan and or to local plan, and it shouldn't be overburdening the existing available infrastructure. The second credit also focuses on the site type, but in a way of reducing pressure on undeveloped land. So it's by rehabilitating the contaminated or damaged land, brownfield, or redeveloping or existing building. So these two credits focuses on the site type, emphasizing to select a proper site without touching the undeveloped land. And whereas the upcoming credit, SM3, focuses, encourage to select a site that with available amenities surrounding the site. This is to, so when you develop a site without surrounding amenity, then you have to build amenities for the development. So this will reduce new upcoming or new undeveloped or new amenities, and it also emphasizes to utilize the available local amenities surrounding the site. So for this credit, you can claim 5 points based on the number and the type of basic and other amenities available surrounding the building. So yeah, the few listed amenities that you can claim from, and the eligible claiming amenities should be within 750 meter walking distance or radius from the site. And moving to the next credit, SM4, this focuses on the pollution control during construction and earthwork. This deals with the soil erosion, waterway sedimentation, and air pollution. To go for this credit, we need ESC plan, Erosion Sedimentation Control Plan, which complies to the erosion and sedimentation requirement of approved earthwork plan or the local code, whichever is more stringent. And inside the ESC plan, it should outline all the measures that meet these three objectives, which is to prevent the sedimentation and prevent soil erosion, and also to minimize air pollution from the construction activity like dust and particulate matters. And this ESC plan should be signed by qualified CNX. So yeah, the sample of commonly implemented control on other sites, in all the sites, sill trap to avoid sedimentation, wash through to avoid air pollution. And these pictures, it should be reflected, all the measures that you've been implemented on site, it should be reflected on the construction progress report. Moving to the next credit, QLA6, this credit promotes the proper planning and also skilled workmanship to avoid any wastage and also any rework in the construction. To meet the requirement, the project need to go for QLA6 assessment and score a minimum score of 70% to obtain the point. So here the certification sample that from other project for the submission. And moving to the next credit, workers' site amenities. This credit focuses on workers' well-being on site. These are the measures should be implemented on site as part of site amenity plan on site, which are to provide a proper accommodation for the workers on site or temporary accommodation nearby the site. And second is to prevent pollution of storm sewer or receiving stream by having a proper septic tank. And third is to prevent pollution by open burning, and have to have a prevent an improper disposal of waste, construction waste, by providing a proper recycle bin. And fourth is to provide sufficient health and hygiene facilities for the workers, such as first aid kit, cleaning drinking water for the workers. And fifth is to provide mobile toilet. For high-rise building construction, it is recommended to provide mobile toilet for every fifth floor for the worker. And all these measures should be outlined in the site amenity plan. It should be implemented on site, and it should be reflected in the monthly construction progress report. So here are the pictures that we extracted from other projects, the measure that they implemented with the photos from the construction monthly progress report. Okay, moving to next SM7, the 7th credit of the category, which is IBS, Industrialized Building System, where the building component manufactured constructed in off-site in a controlled environment such as factory or warehouse, and we assemble that we assemble that on site. By doing this, we can avoid wastage, and also we can save time and cost. We can also avoid any reworks on the construction. The points allocated for this credit is based on the IBS scoring. To get a minimum point of 1, you have to have a minimum scoring of 50 for it. Okay, then the next 2 credit is on the public transportation and alternative transportation mode. These 2 credits emphasize to reduce the reliance on private mode of transportation, especially cars, which is the biggest contributor of the greenhouse gases. So SM8 is emphasized to strategically locate your development within or near to any public transportation facilities. This is to ensure that occupants have access to the public transportation, that available public transportation. For this credit, for example, you are having a bus stop within 500 meters from the site, you can claim up to 2 points. If you're having a public transit with more than 1 route, you can claim up to 4 points. And if you are having a public transportation mode more than 1, example LRT, MRT, and bus transit within 1 kilometer, then you can claim up to 6 points. Apart from the public transportation, if you are having a dedicated walkway connecting the site to public transportation, with provision for the physically challenged people, but it can be with or without shading, shading as a tree can be also shading, or you're having a proper walkway with the roof and everything, you still can score some points under this credit. To further encourage on the usage of public transportation, reduce the reliance on the private transportation, if your development have bicycle facilities, then you can claim under SM9, dedicated cycling network. But for this, the development should have a proper full infrastructure for the bicycle facility. For example, bicycle lane, it should be demarcated and visible throughout the development, and have enough sufficient signages over the development. And the fourth is bicycle parking. The number of bicycle parking depends on residential unit for landed development. For high-rise, it depends on the number of residents. So it's based on the numbers, we will calculate what are the numbers required for the particular development to provide the bicycle parking. Okay. The 10th credit is stormwater design. These credits manage the quantity and quality of stormwater. This is to limit the disruption of natural hydrology and also to eliminate the water pollution. Okay, the common strategy to reduce the stormwater runoff is to reduce the impervious area, which automatically increase the infiltration of the development, and by then we can eliminate the polluted water, stormwater runoff as well. For this, we need to submit MASMA report. with the Q post and Q pre detailed calculation for the submission. Okay, so the next 3 credit from SM11 to SM13, it's all about heat island effect. So I think we all aware of heat island effect. So where the city temperature is higher compared to the rural area, as reflected in the heat island profile. There are so many factors that contribute this, to the heat island effect. Main factors are the buildings material that we are select for outer layer, and also the color which absorb more heat, and also the lack of vegetation on the building and also the surrounding building. We can eliminate heat island effect by strategies. Here are the strategies that you can implement to eliminate the heat island effect and also to score point under GBI. So if you're having a more green space with native and adaptive plant and also water bodies like swimming pool and lake, based on the percentage, you can claim point under SM11. And for artscape, exposed artscape like exposed parking, side walkway, podium, terrace, if you're using SRI value of material with SRI value of 29, at least 29, and if let's say you're providing shading or you're having open grip pavement or combination of any 3, then you can claim it point under percentage as well. And the last one, last under this category, SM13 is on the roof. If you're having a pitched roof and you are having a SRI material with 78, at least 78, and a steep pitch roof, if you are having a SRI with at least 29, or vegetated roof, or combination of these 2, you can still can claim point under SM13 with the percentage as well. Okay, the last credit of this category is composting. This is to encourage recycling of organic and landscape waste to minimize the usage of synthetic fertilizer. The strategy, you can have a compost bin to recycle it, and or you can have a program for the recycling. But if you are planning to have a compost bin, it is advised to have more than one, because having one, it doesn't really meet the requirement, because process of composite bin, you have to wait roughly 3 months for it to become a fertilizer. So it is advised to have more than one. So meanwhile waiting for one to become fertilizer, the process, you can still use the other one. So it is recommended to have more than one compost bin on the development. Okay, so that's on SM. It's mainly focused on the site planning and also how utilizing the site amenity and encourage to use the public transportation on site planning. Moving to the next, material and resources. This category mainly focuses on the construction stage activity and waste management by aiming to reduce the environmental impact of construction by having an efficient use of material. So there are 6 credits with total of 12 points to score from. The first credit of this category is reuse of building material. This credit emphasizes to reduce the demand for virgin material and also minimize waste by reusing the building component. And this approach also reduces the environmental impact associated with extracting and processing of the raw material. So yeah, the example of material that you can reuse, for example, aluminum formwork, window frame, door frame, and so on. So as I mentioned, you can claim for aluminum formwork, but you can't claim for timber formwork, because timber formwork we consider as a one-time use. Timber is not considered as a reusable material as well, so you can't claim it for it, but you can claim it for timber formwork as a reusable material. And by reusing material, it's not only conserve the resources, but it's also extend the life cycle of the material and reduce the carbon footprint of the material. Carbon footprint of the building. For this MR1 until MR3, we will calculate based on the percentage of reuse or recycled content material or regional material. So for MR1, to calculate the percentage of reused material on the development, we need few details such as total construction cost, excluding the mechanical, electrical, plumbing cost. And second is total material cost. So as you can see, there's a two submission, design stage and construction stage. But it's very hard to get the exact number of total material cost during the design stage. So what we can do is we can estimate the total material cost by, it will be the 45% from the total construction cost. For construction stage, we can submit the exact number. And we also need to know the quantity of reused material and per unit price of the material. And this number must be supported with the receipt or purchase order or delivery order. And photos, if any photos, then we can attach together as well. And moving to MR2, this credit also emphasized to reduce the usage of demand on the virgin material by increase the demand of material that have content recycled content. Example of material that have recycled content are gypsum board, steel, cement, aluminium and rebar. Same as MR1, we need the same few more details like total construction cost, total material cost, quantity and per unit price, and these numbers should supported by the receipt or purchase order or delivery order. Apart from this, we need to submit manufacturing document or declaration letter mentioning the percentage of pre-consumer and post-consumer recycled content of that particular material. And photos, if any, we can attach together. The third credit is regional. This credit emphasizes to use material that extracted and processed regionally. This approach supports the local economy and also to reduce the transportation related environmental impact. And same as MR1 and 2, we need to have total construction cost, total material cost, quantity, per unit price, and all the numbers should be supported by the receipt, purchase order, and delivery order. When we list down the material, we have to list. We also have to list down the material that where it been manufactured and have been bought to make sure it's from regional as well. And for this credit, we only can take in consideration on the permanently installed material, excluding the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing component. Okay, then moving to the fourth, sustainable timber. This credit promotes the reasonably sourced material to encourage environmental responsible forest management. In this credit, we can consider both permanently and temporarily installed wood-based products that is certified under FSC or MTCS, Forest Stewardship Council or Malaysian Timber Certification Scheme. So it should be certified under either of the certification to claim for the point. To calculate the percentage for the claiming point, we need to have total timber cost and also total timber certified cost that have used on the development along with the receipt, and we have to do the submission as well. We have to have a recycle bin in every floor that is accessible to the occupant to do the to encourage them to do the recycling. Additionally, we need to have a recycle segregation plan outlining how you will collect the waste, how you will sort the recycle waste, and where it will be sold. You have to detail how you want to manage the recycle waste. And this credit to emphasize and create a culture among the occupant on the recycling. And the last credit of this category is construction waste management. This during construction, this emphasizes to manage the waste. Instead of sending to landfill, it is encouraging to send to recycle or relevant manufacturer to reuse or recycle the waste. For this credit, we need to submit the waste management plan outlining the material diversion and the strategy that will be implemented on the site, and the waste that generated, diverted, and sold should be recorded and should be quantified in the construction progress report with receipt. So in overall submission, right, usually client will have a hard time claiming for MR6 because it's very hard to get all the receipt in order for the submission, because GBI requests to have they only give point when they see the receipt and the numbers are tally. So it's very hard to get the receipt, and client have face challenge to get the receipt from the main con. So it is advisable to clear cut to the main con at the first, that to keep all the receipt from throughout the construction period. Okay, the second last category, which is water efficiency. This category focuses on reduction in potable water consumption and to encourage to use alternative water in development. So there are 4 credits with total of 12 points to score from. So the first 2 credits, rainwater harvesting and wastewater recycling, these 2 credits emphasize to reuse rainwater or grey water in the development for the cleaning, flushing and irrigation to reduce the usage of potable water. So in this entire WE category, we will be using GBI WE calculator to calculate the reduction. So we just need to key in the information inside the calculator, and it will calculate and show the potable water reduction that we achieved in the development. So if you are having a rainwater tank in your development, it is advised to have a meter in the inlet and also in the outlet to document the amount of water that harvested and consumed throughout the development. Because for the design stage, we will use the calculator for the submission. We can show the number that we can achieve by having the rainwater harvesting. But for construction stage submission, they need to have some proof that we really achieved that. So that we are encouraged to have a meter in inlet and outlet, so that monthly we can record and we can know exactly we are meeting as per design stage or not. And for the submission, we need 6 months data as a supporting for the submission as well. Okay, the next credit is on irrigation and landscape. So to reduce the usage of potable water, it is encouraged to use native and adaptive plants in the landscape, which require minimum amount of irrigation or water. And for irrigation system, as you have the rainwater harvesting tank, then you can use the rainwater for the irrigation. And there are 3 types of usually irrigation system type, which is drip, sprinkler and manual. So usually the drip and sprinkler, the coefficient in the calculator is lesser compared to manual irrigation. Okay, the last credit of this category is water efficient fitting. Apart from having a rainwater and also for looking into the landscape, the main consumption is within the building, the potable water consumption. To reduce that, you can use water efficient fitting, which is rated by WEBs, or having a low flow rate or flush rate. You can submit fitting without the WEBs certification, but it's have to have the test report mentioning the flow and flush rate is lower and can achieve the percentage that you want to gain the point for. So from WE1 until 4, it's based on the percentage. From the calculator, we get what's the percentage, and then based on the percentage, we can obtain the point. So these are the sample calculator that we have to key in. For the submission, we need to submit the test report mentioning the flow and flush rate also. Okay, that's on water efficiency category. It's emphasized on reduction on potable water usage. Okay, let's bring us to the last category, which is innovation. This innovation category usually provide opportunity for the development to gain or implement the green and sustainable green features, which is not listed in any of the green in previous credit or category, but you're having some innovation and it's meet the green and sustainable aspect, then you can claim it under this category. There are 2 credits. The first one for the innovation design, up to 7 points we can claim for, and second credit is for appointing a GBIF. So here are the common innovation strategy that's implemented in other residential building, which are having an EV charger. So it's all the innovation strategy you can, for each strategy you can have 1 point and they have their own requirement to meet. So if you're having an EV charger, you can have at least one EV charger in your development, but you have to have 5% of your total parking lot, you have to provide provision for future installation of EV charger up to maximum 20 lots. And the second is CUI, concrete usage index. If your concrete usage, the volume over the construction area is lesser or equal to 0.45, then you can claim it under innovation as well. And having a drain pipe in your sprinkler system connecting to the tank and recycling the test water, then you can claim it as an innovation strategy as well. And allocating your landscape, 10% of your landscape or 20 meters square, whichever greater, you are allocating as a herb garden, but it should be more than one herb garden. We can't claim it for only one type of herb plant. And it should be, if you're having a herb garden, then you have to have a harvesting SOP to ensure that it's really benefit the occupant. It's not herb garden is staying there without benefiting, so it should have a harvesting SOP, highlighting how it will be harvesting, where it will be selling, where it will be going and everything. And the fifth is having a display on the real-time energy, water, or if your building have a solar, then you can connect to the solar, display how much solar has been generated and used, and all the green features that you implemented on the development, you can display it. It's also markets your development, and it's also make sure that all the occupant is aware of it. To place it, it's better. It's advised to place on publicly accessible area, like lift lobby or near to the management room or something like that. And the next one is having a 50% of your lift to be a regenerative lift, then still you can claim as a innovation point under this category. Apart from that common innovation strategy, there are few more which has been listed under GPI website with their requirement, such as bioswale, external shading device, LED, facade lighting, energy efficient applications, light pipe, solar hot water for all the showers, and turbine ventilator, and self-cleaning facade. So these are the few website you still can claim point for it. If let's say you are having other innovation that's not listed here in website or in any other credit, you can't claim it, you still can submit for the evaluation process, and with the detailed explanation and documentation. It depends on the assessor's evaluation process, but there are still opportunities for us to implement new strategies as it meets the sustainability and also the green feature, and we still can submit for it. Okay, so that's bring us together at the end for the overall green scoring categories in GPI's certification. So there are 6 categories, and each categories have their own credits and own requirement to meet. So here we highlighted all the key factors that need to be considered in your design, in your development. But to claim point is based on the percentage and also the numbers that you have to meet. So by meeting that, then you can claim your points so that you can meet your targeted level certification that you want to go for, certified silver, gold or platinum. But for the submission, we advise to go with buffer point of 5. This is usually design stage. We can say we can design everything. It's everything with the requirement and everything, but it's come to the construction stage. That's where development will face challenges to meet it. So, and also the percentage, as I mentioned, for the construction waste management is usually very hard to meet at the construction stage. Design stage, we can claim it, but construction stage, proving with the receipt is kind of very hard. So in that stage, usually these buffer points help us to safeguard us the target level that we are targeting for. Okay, so then Okay, it's okay. If you don't have and if you come across any, then you can drop an email to us or WhatsApp us anytime to clear the question. So next, I pass to next speaker on the green tax incentive. Thank you.
Okay, so the last part would be on green tax incentives provided by MIDA and MGTC. So I'm sure you would like to know that what are the incremental green costs when we go for GBI certification. So in general, our residential tools, we look at about 0 to 1% to 2% incremental costs for the lowest level of certification. But when it comes to silver, we look at about 1.8% on average. Then for gold is 3.8%, and for platinum is averagely 5.1% or more. So there are many items that could incur additional costs here, such as better performing window glazing. Then you also have roof insulation, solar PV installation, lighting sensors like photo sensor and motion sensor. Then also the low VOC paints, sealants, adhesives, and flooring. Then also the implementation of QLASIC and IBS. Better performing hardscape and roofs with high SRI. Then also the provision of recycle bins, rainwater harvesting tank, and your irrigation system. And the last two would be for water efficient fittings and innovation items. So in general, for MIDA, they do provide a green technology incentive. So the two categories would be green investment tax allowance, or GITA, and green income tax exemption, or GITE. So for green building, we will fall under green investment tax allowance under the project category. So green certified buildings are definitely entitled for tax incentive under MIDA, and MIDA will offer this green investment tax allowance to all developer and project owners who are committed to investing in green technology assets. So this green investment tax allowance is the incentive for the acquisition of qualifying assets as listed under My Hijau directory, as well as any applications that are received by MGTC as well. So there are many qualifying activities and promoted projects under GITA, but we will be focusing on green building. So we like to emphasize that only building owners and developers for commercial and industrial buildings are only eligible for this tax allowance. So the eligibility criteria to apply for GITA would firstly be that your company must be incorporated under Companies Act 2016. Then your company must also be achieving these following green results, such as conserving the use of energy and also use of renewable energy, minimize the degradation of the environment, as also promoting health and improving the environment. So the third one would be CAPEX, whereby any company which has incurred the first qualifying CAPEX before the application is made to MIDA is not eligible for this incentive. And specifically for green building, the company must provide the application form to MIDA together with the provisional green building certificate. So for GBI is the design assessment certificate. And all this must be done before the completion of the green project. And finally, if your company has already obtained the final certificate or the CVA certificate for the project, then it will not be eligible for this incentive. So yes, projects must obtain the conditional approval letter from MIDA before you incur any qualifying CAPEX. And then also the qualifying CAPEX can be backdated to not earlier than 3 days from the date of application received by MIDA, but also not earlier than the 1st of January. So this is taken from the updated Malaysia 2024 national budget. So the next one will be the rate of incentive. So the green investment tax allowance is of 100% of your qualifying capex incurred for all your green technology projects, and also taken from the date of first qualifying capex incurred after application received by MIDA. So this allowance can be offset against 70% of your statutory income in the year of assessment, and any unutilized allowances can be carried forward until they're fully absorbed. Now, as for the commencement date, this incentive period is for 3 years starting from the first date of qualifying capex incurred, and also must be verified by MGTC or Malaysian Green Technology Corporation. And also the qualifying capex incurred must be carried out starting from 1st January 2024 until 31st December 2026. This is also taken from the Malaysia 2024 national budget. So in terms of application procedure, we'll start first with MIDA, whereby the applicant must check the eligibility of applying for this GITA. And then after that, they will submit their application form to MIDA together with all the required documents. Then MIDA will, after receiving this application, they will prepare an evaluation report and present it to the National Committee on Investment, or NCI. So after all this has been approved, then MIDA will issue an interim approval letter. Then with this approval letter, the applicant will take it to MIDA and do their application to MGTC, and do the application to MGTC, whereby MGTC, they will determine the effective date that you can incur your qualifying capex, and also they will be validating all the green projects that you will be implementing. So after they have approved, then they will submit to you a validation letter, and with this validation letter, the applicant can submit a tax form to IRBM. So the Malaysian Green Technology Corporation, or MGTC, their role here is to verify all technical requirements, including main equipment, for the performance and green impact of the project. So MGTC here would be the technical checker, whereas MIDA would be the processing body. So we also like to emphasize that green cost needs to be budgeted during the tender stage, and also make sure to be approved by MIDA and MGTC before tender. So after the approval, applicants will have at least 3 years to incur all green cost items that have been approved. And during these 3 years, MGTC would have an annual verification, and also this annual verification would incur some annual fee. So from there, MGTC will issue to the applicant a technical report every year, and the applicant must keep this technical report and produce it upon IRBM's request whenever they need it. Then the last part would be that applicants are only allowed to claim all the green cost items if you score them in the design assessment provisional cert. So any items that you do not score, you cannot apply for. Okay, that's all for the green tax incentives. So this is our last part. So if there are any Q&A question and answer that you need. If there are no further questions, then this will be the end of our presentation today. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Penceramah hari ini dipersilakan. Bersedia untuk tepuk Dengan berakhirnya ceramah tadi, maka tamatlah kursus kita pada kali ini. Terima kasih diucapkan. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera.